Hello, I'm Ian, and I'm joined by my colleague Owen to present Aisha Brown with recommendations for her boss, Maura Williams, regarding Gentle Valley long-term care homes' current issues. We have identified four issues within Gentle Valley that have been magnified due to the current pandemic. First, we have two employees who are opposed to receiving a vaccination, which jeopardizes the home safety. Secondly, our current employees are not receiving adequate compensation for the intense, stressful workload they are currently facing, which is amplified as seen within the third issue of high turnover, which is actually playing into the fourth issue of being understaffed and overworked. We will go into depth in these issues and provide realistic, timely recommendations that bring Gentle Valley back to normalcy. The first and most blatant issue facing Gentle Valley is COVID-19, and the news that Perdita Fernandez, a part-time cleaner, and Tim Gorman, a PCA, both have announced refusal for the vaccine. This is an issue due to this unprecedented pandemic. Currently, Gentle Valley is not operating in normal fashion, where they aim to provide patients with a high standard of care while establishing a family dynamic. Gentle Valley is responsible for providing their patients a physically safe environment, as that is a fundamental aspect of their business. In addition, under the Occupational Health and Safety Act, they are responsible for their workers' safety. I would argue that the mental stress on both workers and patients of a potential outbreak is an overlooked factor in the health and safety, so a vaccine would help establish a foundation that will gradually aid Gentle Valley back to normalcy. Before I touch upon Tim and Perdita's specific cases, I want to point out Gentle Valley's number one reason for employees to have the vaccine. That is, having it as a bona fide occupational requirement. The requirement to be immune to COVID-19 and strong enough to fight any variants directly comes from having the vaccine. Like a firefighter being able to carry equipment on their back, healthcare workers should be strong enough to minimize the spread of viruses within their place of work. Getting the vaccine is rationally connected to providing clients with a safe environment, especially due to its availability and access to those who are physically able to receive it, which I'll speak to those who aren't next. This is necessary to return to a normal work environment and meet Gentle Valley's organizational mandate. With Gentle Valley being smaller and so intertwined, paired with the nature of the virus, it is impossible to accommodate unvaccinated workers without causing undue hardship on the employer, as I will explain on the next slide. I won't speak too much on COVID, as we're far too familiar now with the virus, but it's important to understand that it's far more contagious than the flu and puts Gentle Valley's older demographic at supreme risk. The variety of ways the virus can spread requires Gentle Valley to form a line of defense with no cracks, which are what unvaccinated workers would cause. Further, to reference a case in the States, one vegan was actually able to avoid getting a flu shot for work by claiming it was her religion, as Tim partially does, while one was actually denied an exemption as their veganism was rooted in health desires, as Perdita is arguing her health is the reason why she cannot get the vaccine. Religion is a difficult subject, and Aisha should not challenge Tim on his religion, and instead just simply state that they cannot make accommodations due to the reach of their work and the potential to jeopardize all stakeholders related to the home. We will recommend that Aisha pushes for transportation to be subsidized, example, providing gas to all employees as they're being required by work to get this vaccine, and it may not be their personal priority. In addition, we recommend that a time frame to get vaccinated is developed. For Perdita, Aisha is to properly educate her on vaccines, as she seems slightly unsure about the true nature of them. In addition, Aisha is to work with her to see if her health issues are truly prohibiting her from receiving it. During the window for vaccination, Perdita will see her fellow employees receive the vaccine and can decide for herself. If she does not receive the vaccine, she will be dismissed fully, not under the Infectious Disease Emergency Leave Amendment. Tim would follow the same timeline, however, he probably will not need the educational piece. While this recommendation hurts Gentle Valley's already low staff numbers and family dynamic, it cannot be understated how imperative it is to have the vaccine so they can return to normalcy within their workplace. For the sake of time, we're going to move on to the other key problems facing Gentle Valley. Our risks and mitigations will be available in the provided slide deck. Workers are not receiving adequate compensation for their grueling work. And we can see this with the removal of hero pay, the exclusion of management receiving further compensation, and the absence of sick days. Hero pay gave employees a nearly 20% increase in pay, but unfortunately, the new system does not match this program, plus it excludes management, who are working similar tasks and should be eligible on paper for this pay increase. Further, Gentle Valley has no sick days, no paid sick days, and is utilizing the Employment Standard Act's infectious disease emergency leave. We will focus on establishing caring family-like relationships. Gentle Valley should alter their approach to compensating employees and truly treat them like a part of the family. Gentle Valley should honor their sacrifices and increase workload and provide an incentive to stay within the Gentle Valley family. Quarterly profit sharing can be used at Gentle Valley to divide up existing profits among all full-time and part-time staff. This links work to pay and provides a motivation to have excellent service and maintain Gentle Valley's reputation. Additionally, paid post-pandemic stress relief days should be put in place, where employees receive one-time full paid days off their normal work week. This would be scheduled by management, and that would allow for avoided work disruptions. Plus, they would be able to use criteria to deem when this program could start. It does not severely impact finances. Expenses will be decreased post-pandemic with less cleaning and protection expenses. Unfortunately, paid sick days are nearly impossible to do with the current status of their business, as they're already stretched so thin, both in human and monetary capital. I'm going to move on for the sake of time, but this timeline is available for review from the slide deck. The stress relief timeline will require development of criteria to signal beginning of the program, a plan to fill all shifts, and then informing the staff of this decision. We're now going to move on to high turnover and hiring.
Gentle Valley has seen a large loss of their staff during the pandemic due to government regulations. As most of the employed staff were only part-time workers, the care facility saw these individuals take other part-time work at other care facilities or jobs with higher paying wages. This has led the company to poor scheduling and often overworking employees, even in areas that they are not specified to work in under their job title. While COVID is an all hands on deck scenario, coming out of the pandemic and when staff can be immunized to continue to work, this must be addressed. In the short term, it is important to establish job roles. Doing so can promote a positive attitude in the workers, having a sounder idea of what their role in the company actually is. With this, Gentle Valley must ensure that they stay true to their word with the workers after establishing these roles. They don't want to break the trust of them and continue to use them in other places excessively. To ensure this doesn't happen, Gentle Valley will have to deal with the understaffed issue, which I will touch on shortly. In this industry, it is important to maintain staff for the long term. The residents build connections with the staff, as they have so much face-to-face time, and the most important part about this industry is making sure that the residents are enjoying themselves and that you maintain a family-like dynamic. In an attempt to keep long-term personnel, we are recommending a post-COVID career growth plan. As majority of the workers are only part-time, Gentle Valley can look to build more responsibility and roles and eventually move to full-time positions over time. This will ensure that employees are doing the job for the right reasons and for the passion of the job, but it will also give employees incentive to continue to work and work harder to grow in the company. From the managerial perspective, Gentle Valley will have to rework their insurance and benefits package. Currently, they have a very few people on full-time work who have access to the benefits, but with this career growth plan, over time, more staff may reach the full-time employment status, and it will become very costly to maintain this current package. Lastly, we believe that Gentle Valley should implement a bi-weekly employee satisfaction survey. It is vital that they have check-in periods with the employees. Added with this survey, we believe adding a personal recommendation section will be beneficial for management. Not only will this show the employees that management cares about their well-being, if it be physical or mental health, but it can also provide managers with a more accurate reflection of current resources or where the staff feel they are lacking in different areas. Additionally, as the staff work very close to the residents of the care facility, they may be able to pick up on different ways the residents feel that there is a need for improvement. They must ensure that both their residents and employees feel satisfied. As Ian mentioned before, the timeline will be available in our slide deck, as well as the risk and mitigations. Now, how do we solve the understaffed issue? We hire people. Gentle Valley's current staff are overwhelmed with work, and they're working much more than what they normally would be asked of. They need the relief of stress, and hiring more people will resolve this and provide a much more organized approach. This is the obvious solution, but there are steps to complete before starting to hire. First, Gentle Valley must complete the HR forecasting process. As COVID has shifted almost every company's plans, Gentle Valley should re-identify or realign the organization's goals and values. This will be key to remember, as when they're hiring staff, the workers should also be aligned with the same values and support the vision of the organization. This will also help in reducing higher turnover, as they want to be hiring the right people for the job. Upon this, they will need to assess what areas of the facility need help and who and what resources are currently working there. Gentle Valley needs to make sure that managers aren't working in the laundry room and are working to properly oversee the organization. Once they properly assess what resources they have in each department, they can determine what external work they need. This in-house assessment will help them to develop recruitment objectives going forward. Gentle Valley will also have to design specific job descriptions for applicants, as well as determine a selection committee before moving on to actual hiring steps. Gentle Valley is in need of care workers and other positions like cleaning and laundry staff and cooks. All applicants will need to complete a background check as they are working with vulnerable individuals. For cleaning and laundry staff, these are important positions to fill quickly so they can relieve stress of other workers and ensure a clean facility. We believe that using open hiring will be the fastest way to gain new workers for these positions for the short term with COVID. Should they pass the safety standards for the job, they can begin training. To fill cook positions, using internet hiring in public agencies will be a good way to generate an applicant pool, as they are cheap and will generate a diverse range of applicants. For care staff, Gentle Valley should look to implement internet postings, university work, public employment agencies, and referrals. These methods can all be cheap, but will still get a well-rounded applicant pool. University students can have a difficult time finding employment out of school, and they're seeking experience. Gentle Valley has the opportunity to grow them through the system. In the future, they can also look to utilize non-paid internships to gain help from the students looking for experience within the healthcare sector. Using our recommendations, Aisha can address the 4 major issues with Gentle Valley to return back to normalcy. Thank you for listening to our presentation.